I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
It's another Trump deadline day as the U.S. president issues an ominous warning to Iran. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
Deeper than the headlines.
The answers you need to know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
What will happen tonight? That's what everyone is wondering. Tonight is supposed to be U.S. President Donald Trump's deadline for Iran to reach a deal with the United States, or Trump warned he would order the bombing of Iran's bridges and power plants. And this morning, Trump issued an even more ominous warning with a posting on social media that reads, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will." That's much darker than what Trump was saying during a briefing at the White House yesterday when he insisted he has a plan.
So somebody said, "Oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is." You know, they want me to say, "Here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to..." And if you don't do that, they say, "I have a plan." These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news. But you can't. It's so bad for people that are so you just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, 3 unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media.
When asked if he would be punishing ordinary Iranians if the United States attacks civilian infrastructure, Trump insisted the people of Iran want him to keep up with the attacks.
They would be, and it's suffering, they would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, "Please come back, come back, come back." These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protests where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, "Oh, the regime's going to come to an end." And then all of a sudden, boom.
Iranian officials have been urging young people to form human chains to protect the country's power plants. President Trump has vowed that the attacks will go ahead if Iran does not allow traffic to fully resume through the Strait of Hormuz. The deadline is supposed to be at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Between now and then, talks are said to be happening, even though Iran has already rejected the latest offer from the United States, and Trump didn't want to talk about the possibility of a ceasefire.
I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, "Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be end it because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah, Stone Ages.
In addition to promising to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages, Trump still has choice words for NATO and the many other countries that are impacted by the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz.
NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me?
Leading Democrats say they remain concerned that the war in Iran could become a forever war. Leading that accusation in recent days has been Wes Moore, the Democratic governor of Maryland.
You know, and I think about the fact that we are very dangerously, we're lurching again into another forever war. And this is a forever war that is very similar to the one that I fought in, where I led soldiers with the 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. And I know that the United States was in Afghanistan for 20 years, that it cost this country over $2.5 trillion, that we lost over 2,400 American lives. And we did it because we said we wanted to change the Taliban. And 20 years later, you know who's in charge of Afghanistan? The Taliban. And so I feel like we are lurching into another one of these forever wars that we're asking the American people to pay for, but the President of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief has still yet to articulate what exactly it is that we're doing.
With less than 8 hours to go before this latest Trump deadline, the financial markets are lower today. The Dow Jones is off about 0.7% right now. The NASDAQ down a bit more, a 1% loss so far today. The S&P 500 down 0.7%. The TSX hanging in there, still in the red, not by much though. And oil prices, West Texas oil prices up 3% on the day. $115.64, $115 a barrel, 64 cents the last trade. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
The Carney government in Ottawa says it is already meeting the NATO target of spending 2% of the country's GDP on national defense. But what would it take to get to the newer pledge of spending 5% of the country's GDP on national defense? A new report says in order for the government to reach that target, it would have some difficult choices to make. The report is from the C.D. Howe Institute. Colin Busby is Director of Policy Engagement at the C.D. Howe Institute. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Where does Canada stand right now compared to other countries, our peer countries, if you will, on defense spending?
Well, Canada is, I guess, what you'd probably consider with respect to a lot of other NATO countries. Well, they say there's a handful of them. I mean, notably countries like Belgium and Spain, where we considered a bit of a laggard in terms of our annual defense spending. So the amount of cash outlays that we do for defense each year vis-a-vis other NATO countries. Now, all the NATO countries have just recently got up to 2% spending. For the year 2025. So there's been a bit of a resurgence amongst it, but there's a lot of other countries that have been spending 2% of GDP or more for a series of somewhere close to 10 years. And just in terms of their overall capabilities, they're just much further ahead than Canada. And the other aspect of it too is the overall financial situation of governments is that Canada kind of finds it debt load, with a group of countries that are going to face not only challenges in sort of being consistently spending a significant amount of money on defense spending each year, but also in terms of being able to afford it without adding too much to public debt.
Yeah, well, let's get into that, because your report says that within 10 years, annual spending on national defense could hit $150 billion. How does that compare to what's being spent now? And how would it compare to other large expenditures by the federal government?
Great question. So just as of 2025, the numbers in order to get to 2% of GDP, the cash outlays of the federal government have reached around $60 billion per year. Now that's up from, roughly on average of somewhere between 30 and 40 billion per year in the prior year. So still a pretty big jump. But it's nowhere near the amount that the federal government spends on transfers to people, so old age security, GIS, the Canada Child Benefit, and so on. And it's nowhere near the amount that they transfer to provinces in terms of healthcare and other sort of forms of social transfers, as well as equalization. But in 10 years' time, if Canada continues its path towards the new NATO target, the amount that the federal government is going to spend on defense each and every year is going to reach and potentially surpass the amount that we spend on transfers to the provinces. It'll only sort of really be second to transfers to persons if things keep going as they are. And it's just a major transformation in how the federal government's going to be allocating its tax revenues, to such a degree that we haven't seen a transformation like this in many decades.
And what would that sort of transformation in spending mean for what I would call metrics like a deficit to GDP or debt to GDP?
Well, and that's where things I think get thorny, and particularly when you look at the 2025 budget that was put out in November by the federal government, and you look at the fact that they've moved away from debt to GDP as their strong fiscal anchor, which the federal government had busted by its old fiscal anchors when it was convenient, and they've sort of moved away from debt to GDP, a declining debt to GDP ratio as their number one fiscal anchor, and they're moving more towards deficit to GDP and a declining deficit to GDP ratio as their fiscal anchor. And I just can't envision a scenario in which, when we sort of model this, it's almost impossible to envision a scenario in which they're going to meet those targets and meet their sort of deficit to GDP and debt to GDP targets and meet the NATO target at the same time. So you're going to see this sort of the potential for there to be significantly expanded deficits at the federal level, a rising deficit to GDP ratio, a rising debt to GDP ratio. It's just very likely under the status quo should nothing else change. And it's kind of why we did this research, which was sort of prompt this conversation, which is like, hey, if we're going to do this, and if our plan is to do this, and you know what, we really ought to do it because the world is changing in front of our eyes. The way in which the federal government goes about its raising its money and spending its money, because this is an area of exclusive federal jurisdiction, is going to change substantially. And this is a conversation that we got to have, and we got to figure out how we're going to pay for it and what other things are we maybe not going to pay for in order to help pay for this. And it's a big topic. It's a big conversation.
Yeah, sure
and
is.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Let's talk about it a little bit more, Colin Busby, because the government does have some options, and your report makes some recommendations as well. And some of them would not be popular, like raising the GST. When we come back, Colin Busby is with us, Director of Policy Engagement at the Howe Institute, with a brand new report. What would it really take for the government to spend 5% of Canada's GDP on national defense, roughly $150 billion a year, 10 years from now? This is News Radio.
critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Colin Busby is with us. He's Director of Policy Engagement at the C.D. Howe Institute, out with a new report. What would it really take to hit $150 billion in national defense spending? That would be 5% of Canada's GDP. And Colin, let's think about some of the things that are happening with the Canadian economy: a history of weak productivity, slow economic growth, the possibility of a recession, an aging population. So what options does the federal government have to try and meet this target? You make a number of recommendations in your report.
Right, and I think the economic context is important. And I think that the economic context really does sharpen the pencil in terms of what the federal government has to look at in terms of its options. I also think it dramatically limits its options in terms of what it's able to do. On the spending side, I mean, if you want to sort of take a look at that envelope, there's, if you're going to look beyond old age security and guaranteed income supplement, which are very popular and functioning transfers that they make to individuals, I mean, I think the next category of spending that you get to in terms of big things, because we're talking like, $100 billion, trying to find $100 billion a room is a tremendous amount of money. And I know I got a lot of comments since I released this research, people saying, oh, well, there's the options for the CBC, there's other options. Those are just really small pieces of the puzzle, right? They're not big pieces of that amount. So, I think you got to talk about really hard things like transfers to the provinces. I think you got to talk about really hard things like GST, not the corporate income tax, because this is not a time where you want to add more uncertainty to the investment climate in Canada, and not the personal income tax either, because this is not a time you want to change people's behaviors in terms of their ability and willingness to want to potentially work more hours, which is what we need. We don't need people to be choosing to work less because we're increasing personal income taxes on them. So it really leaves you with a limited number of options, including things like the GST. And the GST just being a less distortive tax. I know people don't like it, but people's behavior and responses to an increase of it are simply not as large and as substantive as the way corporations react to larger rates and the way people react to higher rates. So I think that's an option. Whether or not we want to call a 1 percentage point increase in the GST something different, like a contribution to defense and security, and maybe it shows up on people's bills as such. And when you go to when you go to pay for something, maybe it shows up as, hey, this is your defense and security contribution. Okay. And then transfers to the provinces, right? The reality here is that federal government gives the provinces a lot of money each and every year for the Canada Health Transfer, for Canada Social Transfer, to support a number of different provincial social programs and healthcare and so on. But there's one taxpayer in Canada, and defense is exclusively federal jurisdiction. There's no ambiguity there in terms of who's responsible for what. It's the federal government, plain and simple. And when it comes to things like healthcare and education, I mean, provinces are the ones delivering those services. They are, and having them potentially take on some greater clarity in terms of them being responsible for it, and having the provinces potentially be encouraged to take on a percentage of the GST, or maybe transfer a percentage point of the GST to them. That's an option too. But we're in a tight spot, and there's no easy solutions. And I think that's the tough discussion we got to have.
Thank you for having it with me today, Colin Busby. Good to hear from you. Thanks again.
Great. Thank you so much.
From the C.D. Howe Institute, Colin Busby. Our Newsday panel coming up next. We're going to talk about food and agriculture, the agri-economy, and the war. When we return, this is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
It's not just gas prices that has people anxious. From the farm to the dinner table, people are concerned about what this war in the Middle East could mean for food. Professor Sylvain Charlebois is the director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Professor, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
And Professor Stuart Smyth is back with us as well, Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics at the University of Saskatchewan. Professor Smyth, good to hear from you as well.
Good morning, Rob.
Yeah, Professor Smyth, how insulated are we from food price shocks in this country?
Not very good. We've got some of the highest food inflation of any industrial country in the world, and certainly we've seen the challenges for agriculture and food production in rising fertilizer costs, rising fuel costs, particularly as we start seeing more produce being imported from the U.S. as fuel prices rise. We're going to see higher fuel or higher grocery prices throughout the coming months if this conflict continues.
Professor Charlebois, I mean, we should be a land of plenty. We don't want for things like wheat and grains and fish and meat. So why aren't we better insulated from food price shocks?
Well, first of all, we're looking at global markets. If you remember 4 years ago with Ukraine, a bushel of wheat reached $13 US. Normally it would be at around $5.50, $6 US. And we do grow a lot of wheat. The challenge, of course, is that producers will set their price based on world markets. Same for energy, and the correlation between energy costs and food prices is extremely high, with a lag of 3 to 6 months. And so that certainly is going to be a challenge for our food inflation rate, probably, I'd say, in a few weeks from now, because the rally that actually impacted oil prices, it really started on January 7th. If you look at the chart, oil was at $55, and that's when it started to climb. That's probably when markets were pricing in risks related to the Middle East. And so if you move forward 3 months from January 7th, that's basically where we are now.
Okay. Professor Smyth, what is your understanding right now of the situation with fertilizer globally?
So there's been some challenges, obviously, getting those nutrients through the Straits of Hormuz. The good news is that really has very minimal impact on Canadian fertilizer requirements. We're pretty self-sufficient in a lot of areas. We do import some products out of the U.S. that are important for our nutrient needs here. We also get a little bit out of North Africa, Morocco, parts of the world. So the nutrients that are imported into Canada really don't have to go through the Straits of Hormuz, so they haven't been affected by any of the conflict there, other than the instability and the rise in prices. So it is going to impact a lot of nutrient needs in developing parts of the world, where if there's not sufficient nutrients going in the ground in the spring with their seeding, there's going to be a considerable yield lag towards the end of summer and into fall in many parts of the world if the nutrients aren't available. And in some of the news reports, there's been significant shortages through India and other Asian countries. Just simply there's no fertilizer available for farmers at seeding time.
Okay, Professor Charlebois, that sounds like a bright spot.
Well, I mean, Stuart is absolutely right. I mean, that's why I think we may be facing a bit of a double whammy with the fertilizer story. So energy will be first. It is going to be first. It's happening now, basically, and we're expecting energy costs to impact cold chain related production or cold chain related distribution, supporting meat, dairy, produce, frozen goods. All sections of the grocery store will be impacted, but those are the ones that are likely going to be impacted the most. The fertilizer story will actually occur probably later in the year should this conflict persist, and then the Strait of Hormuz remains blocked. So we could see markets becoming worried about yields and productivity, and that could actually push prices higher, which is exactly what we saw with Ukraine. The difference between Ukraine and Iran is that with Ukraine, it all happened at once. Ag commodities, energy, everything. In this case, there will be a lag for energy. We're almost done with that lag, and there'll be a lag for ag commodities if there's some speculation around expecting inventories to be extremely low.
Okay. I want to pick your brains a little bit more on fuel costs, especially diesel costs, and how much of these higher costs can farmers realistically pass on to consumers? How much will they have to eat themselves? And what that means for the agri-economy, the bottom line of the farmer. When we return, this is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Back with Professor Sylvain Charlebois from Dalhousie University and from the University of Saskatchewan, Professor Stuart Smyth, talking agriculture today. So, I mean, I'll look at the retail prices for diesel, anywhere from the low $2 a liter range in places like Calgary to in the greater Vancouver area, almost $2.60 a liter for diesel. But what does that mean, Professor Smyth, for a farming operation?
Cost of production this spring. Lots of farmers try to hedge their bets a little bit by timing their fertilizer deliveries throughout the year. So some farmers will bought their fertilizer requirements last summer, others last fall, and some would wait till January, February to lock in the final bit. So most farmers have those locked up. But with fuel, it's impossible to make those kind of future delivery contracts. So when farmers are getting fuel through the next coming weeks and couple of months through seeding, they're going to have to pay whatever the spot price is, and that's just going to lower their profitability, because in agriculture, whether it's the production of livestock or commodities, farmers cannot pass those costs on to consumers. Farmers are always a price taker, and they take the price that the market gives them, whether it's for pigs, livestock. The only exception is supply management, but wheat, canola, all those things. The market gives the farmers a price, and they can decide whether or not they want to sell at that price.
Right. Yeah, Professor Charlebois, I think that's what people are going to find out, I guess, the hard way. There's only so much that can be passed on to consumers, right? The farmers actually are eating a lot of these costs, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct. There are a lot of surcharges going on right now. I know there's some reporting about airlines and surcharges. Well, it's the same for grocers. What's been problematic, I would say, since February 28th is that the White House has really downplayed the affordability issue, and we've seen this seesaw reaction on markets with oil. So if you're a transport company hauling anything, you're going to highball the price of oil. You're going to highball the price of gas or diesel, whatever you're using. And so you're going to charge more just to make sure you make a profit. And that actually ends up hurting everyone across the supply chain: farmers, distributors, processors, retailers. And of course, all of that will end up being handled by consumers at the grocery store.
Okay. Do you think we could experience certain shortages of foods? Could we experience shortages of foods at Canadian grocery stores, Professor Smyth? Sorry,
Rob. I think that's pretty unlikely.
Okay.
Sylvain's right, and most of our produce that we consume in Canada, about 80% of it comes from the southern U.S. So whether it's Florida, Arizona, California, it's consistently harvested and processed in fields, thrown on trucks and sent north. So that's really not going to change. The system's set up and has been functioning that way for decades to, continually harvest through irrigation, have multiple crops. So really, I don't think from that sense, and Canada's such a huge producer. I mean, lots of the commodities we produce, we export anywhere from 50 to 95% of what we produce. So we produce far more food than we can possibly consume in Canada.
Okay, so you're not anticipating any shortages either, Professor Charlebois?
No, I'm not.
No?
There's been reports of shortages in Quebec. Some empty shelves have been reported, but it has nothing to do with what's going on with Iran.
Yeah.
It's there's a labor conflict affecting a distribution center.
Yeah,
that's right. There's a strike at Metro. So if you see an empty shelf, chances are it's not because of Iran, not because of what's going on in the Middle East. Yeah.
Okay. What do you expect, Professor Charlebois, of the marketing boards to do in the supply managed side? Are they going to raise prices again?
Well, it's like anything. There's going to be a lag depending of which sector you look at. So eggs and poultry, their cycle of analysis, cost analysis, is much more intense. It happens several times a year, so there'll be some adjustments just because of the cost of energy, essentially. And so we could see egg prices go up, poultry prices go up, but typically they're very careful not to spook consumers. They'll do it gradually and incrementally. And for milk, it's once a year. So if we are to see any adjustments, it's going to be announced on November 1st of this year, like every year.
Okay. Professor Smyth, I heard you chuckling there.
Yeah. And the supply management sector's well known for passing on every cent of production cost increase to consumers, and there's certainly a long history of making sure that consumers pay the full cost of anything that might increase the cost of production.
Okay.
So I guess Stuart actually figured out that I was trying to be extremely polite here.
Okay. Well, there's no need for that, Professor Charlebois. But let me come back. I mean, other than all the great news that you've delivered so far, I would like to know, I mean, it is almost planting season. I mean, how is the season in Canada shaping up for our farmers? And for the 2026 food price report, I looked that up this morning. You said we would be paying, on average, family of four in Canada, an extra or $1,000 extra for food this year compared to last year. I'm wondering if you're going to need to revise that forecast. When we come back, this is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
It's our agri-economy professors today, Sylvain, Charlebois, Stuart, Smyth. Professor Smyth, I mean, how would you say the season is shaping up for our farmers in your part of the country?
So things look pretty good. Across the prairies, we've had some pretty good snow coverage. Areas, in the south where there's less snow have had some moisture. So I think going into seeding, in talking to farmers at a few events over the last month to 6 weeks is, they're reasonably optimistic that they've got sufficient moisture. But really what makes things is those spring rains. So, once the crop is in the ground, really what dictates the success of the coming crop year is those timely spring rains in late May, June. That's really what drives the successful production. Of course, we need that continue to follow through in the summer, but for the most part, if the fields are a bit dry, that allows farmers to seed more acres. They don't have to waste fuel going around surface water, and with the price of fuel this spring, farmers are going to be looking to save every dollar they can.
Okay. What about in the eastern part of the country, Professor Charlebois? What are you hearing?
Well, same thing. A nasty winter is welcome news for farmers in the spring. There's more moisture in the ground, basically, so that's certainly good for many, many crops. Livestock prices are really high. I think most farmers are actually entering the 2026 season in very optimistically, I think. To Stuart's point, I think the biggest challenge is our costs. Cost to put things on the ground, cost to move things around, livestock, everything else. I mean, that's really going to be a problem. And, of course, we have to remind listeners that the industrial carbon tax actually went up almost 60% on April 1st. Now, it doesn't affect diesel specifically directly, but the one thing that people need to understand is that it affects many elements in the periphery of the food supply chain, like fertilizer, for example, manufacturing, and everything else that you need energy for. So the increase in the industrial carbon tax is amplifying the increase in energy costs that we're all seeing.
Okay, we only have a minute left. So in the 2026 food price report that you both work on, food prices were expected to go up 4 to 6% this year. For a family of four, would be paying an extra $1,000 compared to the year before. Do you think it will be more than that now, Professor Charlebois?
No, we're still comfortable with our forecast. In 17 years, I think we've made one revision, and that was due to the collapse of the Canadian dollar. I believe it was in 2012, and that's it. We haven't really made any revisions. And keep in mind, in our model, we did actually include the uncertainty around the Middle East. So it was, we did predict what was going on. We didn't know how it was going to look like and how long it was going to last, but we were expecting something.
Okay. We'll have to wrap it up there. That's our time. I thank you again for sharing your expertise. Very nice to hear from you today, the both of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Stuart Smyth is with the University of Saskatchewan, professor there. From Dalhousie University, Sylvain Charlebois, professor and director at the Agri-Food Analytics Lab there. Talkback, Trump, deadlines, warnings, and Iran coming up on Talkback with your help after the news.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today's topic, Trump's deadline for Iran. It's the biggest news story in the world. And we have lots of questions about it. We want to run things by you and get your take. At 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. If you've never called before, just mention that. We'll make your call a priority. We always make it a priority to hear from first-time callers here on Talkback. On social media this morning, U.S. President Donald Trump warned, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will." What do you think about that? From the President of the United States. What do you think about that? A whole civilization will die tonight. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. A whole civilization will die tonight. What are your thoughts on that? Also on Truth Social, he called tonight's 8 o'clock deadline one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. So, why don't we start right there? What do you make of those comments from the President of the United States warning that, quote, "a whole civilization will die tonight"? What do you think he means by that? How do you view a remark like that? I've heard it before many, many times. Oh, it's Trump being Trump. Trump's a deal maker. Trump's just negotiating. Is that how you view a remark like that? Or do you think it's more serious than that? Or do you think Trump will taco again? Taco. Yeah, Trump always chickens out. Taco. Right now, oil prices are up. The stock market is down. Who knows? Maybe come 8 o'clock, maybe this deadline comes and goes. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe there's a breakthrough in negotiations that are said to be happening. The oil price goes down and the stock market goes up because of the taco trade. What do you make of a posting like that from the President of the United States? An entire civilization will die tonight. Here's a question that's out there. It's out there on social media. It's been expressed in the mainstream media. Is Donald Trump okay? Mentally, I mean, is he okay? Or is the United States being led by someone who is suffering from some kind of cognitive decline? Take, for example, the posting on a social media platform from a couple of days ago when he posted, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy you-know-whats, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch, praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. That's the President of the United States posting things like that. Open the effing straight. Praise be to Allah. When you see a post like that, and you include the posts from social media today, what do you conclude about the mental fitness, I guess, of Donald Trump right now? Do you think he's losing it? Some people think that. Do you think that? I wanted to raise that angle with you only because of another post on social media from someone named Dr. Vin Gupta, senior medical analyst for MS Now, which used to be called MSNBC, cable news network that, let's face it, most of the time is very critical of Trump. But that doctor posted on social media, I'm quoting here, erratic, can't finish sentences, often confused, illogical train of thought, word-finding difficulties, developing and worsening gradually over time. The president is exhibiting all signs of dementia. Then you have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who used to be one of the most hardcore loyalists of MAGA before her falling out with Trump over this war. She put on social media, he's gone insane, and all of you are complicit. And some Democrats are saying, time for the 25th Amendment. One Democrat is calling Trump a deranged lunatic, a security threat to the world. Another Democrat called him completely and utterly unhinged because of these posts on social media. So I'll put it right to you, as the President of the United States, as some are suggesting, showing signs of a mental decline, maybe even worse, someone who's gone insane, a deranged lunatic, completely and utterly unhinged, or is this Trump being Trump? A president trying to exert maximum pressure on an enemy in order to secure the kind of deal that he wants from Iran. Just how do you see it? Because it's, it's very unnerving to see a post like that from the U.S. president. Let's be honest. It's very unsettling to see a U.S. president warning an entire civilization will die tonight. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Very unsettling. But is it all just part of a process? All part of the Trump persona, if you will? Or has the man lost his mind? I wish we were starting a new week of Talkback with something a little more happy after the Easter long weekend, but this is the biggest story in the world. And the President of the United States is threatening to wipe an entire country off the face of the earth. Can anyone remember anything like this before in most of our lifetimes? Have you ever seen anything like this before? 1-833-668 2577. A special appeal to first-time callers. This is why we do Talkback, so you can have a chance to comment on the biggest stories in the world. There's nothing bigger than this one. Remember, if you've never called before, tell that to Curtis. He'll make your call a priority. Let's talk about Trump, Iran, this looming deadline, and his posts on social media. I'm Rob Snow. It's Now You Know. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We're talking about Trump, Iran, tonight's deadline, and Donald Trump on social media today. Let's start with Rick in Dartmouth. Hi, Rick. What's your opinion?
Oh, I just having my last supper there. Hope you don't mind. Anyway.
Well, it's quite alarming, though, Rick.
Can you say war crimes? Yeah, okay. Now, look, there's two things. One, the United States does not have the ability to destroy Iran. It's just too big. And they can blow up all the bridges, excuse me, and blow up the power plants, but that won't remove the Iranian civilization. Now, Trump is obviously out of his mind. You've alluded to that. Other people have alluded to it. And the 25th Amendment should, come down hard and fast. I mean, anybody like me who may have supported his domestic policies in the first term and maybe during the election campaign of the previous one is out of their mind with regret in that everything he said he's not doing, and something happened to him. So anyway, they can go in and they've already dropped 5,000 bombs, according to, the Pentagon's own analysis on Iran. So now they're going to start bombing the civilian infrastructure, which is a clear war crime. And now the United States is not a member of the International Criminal Court, so they can never be prosecuted that way. But it's a big stain on the American what's the word, brand. So anyway,
okay.
The other thing is you can't believe anything that is coming out of the United States now. Any type of stuff about Iran. Look, Iran. You remember the Iran war? Iran being invaded by Iraq in 1983. Do you remember that? Is that clear in your mind? What
yes,
happened
well,
then?
I remember that war went on for a long, long time. I think almost a decade, right?
Went on for 8 years, and the Iranians lost between 250,000 and 400,000 people in that war. And the Iraqis were supplied with weapons for the United States, because, of course, the United States was severely pissed off at Iran for, overthrowing the Shah in 1979. So, they've when they say they've been at war for 47 years, yeah, the Americans have been at war with Iran for 47 years, and certainly Israel has as well. So when you look at what happened in that war, and this is historically documented, the Americans supplied Iraq with biological and chemical weapons, including anthrax. Anyway, I don't want to go on, but
Well, I want to kind of focus on the recent history, not go too far back in time. But Rick, thank you for your call. Thank you for your call. I want to move along here. Let's go to Musafar is in Calgary. Musafar, hi there, Musafar.
Hi, good morning, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, I'm a little worried when the U.S. president tweets a whole civilization will die tonight. What do you think about a posting like that on social media?
I think he's lost his mind and he's lunatic and he doesn't know what he's doing. He cannot listen to, if somebody says no to him, he cannot digest that. So the problem with him is now that Iran is not budging and they are not going down. So he's just really frustrated. And during that frustration, he's coming out with the statements which are not making any sense. Iran will fight on, and it might destroy the whole area, but I think Trump will not get what he wants. I hope things get better before it happens anything wrong. But I feel pity for American people. They have got a crazy president. United States never had this bad president who has lost his mind. He's just killing people all over the world. He's threatening everybody. He has just choked Cuba, and which is so unfair with the people of Cuba. You might not agree with the government, but the people have nothing done wrong. So I think he has come to senses that their Congress has to put him down, take him out, and impeach him. He will.
Okay, well,
really,
you think he's mentally unfit for office, right? You think he's mentally unfit for office?
Certainly he is. Certainly
All
he
right.
is.
Okay.
And he's trying to avoid the results of those Epstein files. He's just trying to cover his ass. That's what it is.
All right, Mustafa, thank you. And just like that, we're off and running, and some common ground here so far between Mustafa in Calgary and Rick in Dartmouth. What do you think? What do you think? Others might say it's Trump being Trump. Calm down, relax. But it's still a quite provocative statement. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Your thoughts on that, please, on Talkback, on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Donald Trump posted on social media today, quoting again, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. A couple of days ago, he posted, open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. Deadline 8 o'clock tonight for Iran to reach some kind of agreement with the United States. Okay. What do you think about this when you see or hear about these postings on social media from Trump? Josh, up next in Calgary. Josh, thanks for calling.
Hi, Rob. How you doing today?
Yeah, good, Josh. Thanks. What do you think, Josh, about what's going on here?
Yeah, to be honest, this is absolutely insane. I can't believe it's gotten to a point where we're talking about, I mean, he didn't say eradicate, but he's talking about eradicating a civilization. Like, this is, you know, whenever I talk to my friends about Donald Trump, and not to say that there are people who support him but are more conservative-leaning ideas, I always say, you know, if you elect the leader that you elect, that's the person that you want to represent the greatest ideals of your country and have the best heart for the job. And ever since Donald Trump has been elected, since 2016, it's never seemed to me that this is the guy who you want, when you look at your country and you go, that's the guy I want to represent me. And what he's tweeted today on True Social, or earlier this morning or last night, I can't remember, but this is the complete opposite of what, and you know, you're the greatest country or one of the greatest countries on earth, and this is the man you choose to represent you, and is talking about eradicating civilization. Like, this is in my mind, I'm 29, so this is unprecedented to me. I can't believe we're talking about wiping out a civilization of people just because.
So do you think this is kind of the part two here? Do you think he's losing it?
You know, it's really, so was it Sanjay Gupta that you had said was the doctor on MSNBC?
No, it was from Vin Gupta from MSNBC.
Right. So it's very funny that you had said that, because it was less than a week ago, I was walking past my living room as my girlfriend was watching the TV, and I don't know what news network it was, but he was talking, and I could hear it in his voice. I'm like, I said out loud, I'm like, that guy's losing it. Like, you can, like, see the mentality, the degeneration of his brain in real time. as he talks in these press conferences or briefings. And now we have a medical professional saying it out loud. So it just reinforces what I was thinking a week or two ago anyways, that, it's slowly slipping. And if I'm not mistaken, he is the oldest person to ever be elected president of the United States, correct?
Maybe, but I don't have the... I'd have to fact check you on that. I'm not sure. Maybe he is. Yeah. I'm not sure. But I mean, he's 79 years old.
Yeah, the point being, it's just you get into this territory when you have somebody in their late 70s running a country, and not just a country, one of the most powerful countries on earth. These are the kind of things that will happen, and for me, the point I just wanted to make was it's really sad. It's a super sad day that it's gotten to a point where I have no love for the Iranian regime, but we're talking about the eradication of a civilization of people. And regardless of what anybody thinks or where your stance is on politically what's happening, that's awful. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, and you've said it. You've said it well. Be right back with more of your calls on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
What do you think of this post this morning from Donald Trump on social media? Let me read the whole thing. This hit social media around 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning, with this deadline looming 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight with Iran. This is the whole post. Quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world, 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran." End quote. What do you think of that? Tim in Nova Scotia. Tim. All right, let's try Timothy in Calgary then. Timothy.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Timothy, go ahead, please.
All right. So as I understand the question, Donald Trump's made some threats on social media. He's followed them up this morning with some wishful thinking. And the question now on the table is Donald Trump losing his mind, or is this part of his normal, regular 5D chess strategy routine? Is that the question?
More or less, yes. Yeah.
So I think you can put me down for BSC. That's Bravo, Sierra, Charlie, or Bat, you know what?
Oh, so yes, okay. Yes, I do know. Yeah.
Now that that's out of the way and we've established that, that he's off his rocker, the question is what's going to happen next, and what should I or what can I do about it? So what's going to happen next is anybody's guess. If you look on Reddit, there's a chronology of what his statements have been in this subject over the last 21 days, and they're all over the map. And he's obviously in a place now where he's feeling pressured and trapped, and he's lashing out as he often does when he gets into those corners. So the question is, what can I do about it? What can you do about it? How are we going to respond? Really, that's the real question. And the answer for me is, I'm going to look at what my democratically elected prime minister is doing, which is he's ignoring Mr. Trump, and he's proceeding to establish Canada as an economic world power and a trade relationship ninja. And he's establishing relationships with any country that will sit down at the table with Canada and move us forward as a country. And he's basically ignoring Donald Trump, because really what else can you do? Nothing that he says is coherent or consistent. And he's going to drag his country down economically. And the only thing we can do as Canadians is not follow suit and not get engaged in it, but to isolate and separate ourselves and establish relationships with other nations that are going to move forward in the global trade relationship.
Sure, but you would realize that if the United States is going down the tubes or being harmed economically, that is bound to hurt Canada. There's
unfortunately that's true.
Not much,
and again, it comes back to what can I do about it, and what can I do to preserve Canadian stability and so forth. And the answer is you can't react to what the United States is doing. First of all, they've got too much momentum and too much critical mass. So whatever happens in the United States is definitely going to impact Canada. The only thing you can do to mitigate that is to establish trade relationships with other stable economies and really protect and conserve our economy as best as possible in those circumstances.
All right, Timothy, thank you. Yeah, smart call. Fritz up next. Also in Calgary today. Hello, Fritz.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Obviously, I'm calling from Calgary. It's still morning here, and we're just going through the third snowblower here. But anyway, I want to comment on Trump's statements. And as much as I have to agree with everybody else that is kind of bonkers, it is still a Trumpism. And there's two parts to what he posted. One is the power that is needed to change the regime in Iran. And the idea that it's going to stop or eradicate a civilization, well, you have to look at it, first of all, how people in that part of the world actually talk. How many people were upset when it was always death to America, death to America? It was death to anybody that even slightly agreed with him. So I think Trump is using some of those same words. Even he's not stupid enough to know that he's not going to totally eradicate a civilization, but it will change. If there's a regime change, what was there before will be different. So, in fact, read between the lines and see what's going to happen. Plus, he's
speaking to them in a way that they will understand, because this is the way they've been speaking about the United States and Israel for 47 years. All right.
I'm an engineer, and I've worked with the Arab countries for at least 6 years, and I have learned you cannot apply Western logic to their thinking. Absolutely not. You have to totally change your way that you're doing things. And with him threatening that absolute power, maybe he can get the people riled up enough. You have to get them scared enough so that they will do something about their regime. And you have to get the regime, the upper end, you have to get them maybe not scared, but worried enough about their positions so that they start to do something wrong and help the people to get really upset what they do and riled up. I'm not in a Democrat side or the leftist side. I'm on the right side.
That he's off his rocker. But you don't think he's off his rocker. You don't think he's lost it.
But there's.
Oh, you do.
Big power does corrupt people. It's that simple. So he does have. Yes, he's getting older. He's getting much more set. He's also worried about the midterm elections, and so he sees that he has to do something more. I don't
dramatic?
know about absurd. Dramatic.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
word.
All right, Fritz. We got to go. Thank you for your call. That's an interesting approach. The way you're looking at it, it didn't come to mind for me. What about you? Your calls just ahead on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Talking about Trump, the deadline, Iran, his postings on social media today with Gary in Halifax, another first-time caller. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Hi, Gary. What's your opinion? In Halifax, another first-time caller. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Gary.
Hello?
Go ahead, Gary, with your opinion.
Well, my opinion is it might be different from a lot of others. I don't think Trump is insane or anything, but I think he's using a particular type of strategy, and I think he's accusing or making threats to Iran right now, but to say that he's going to Iran.
Gary, you've got your radio on or something in the background, so just turn that off. I'll bring you back on. I need you to turn whatever speaker is on down.
I got it.
Because
I got it off.
There we go. Thank you for that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's bluffing. I think he really is sincere about wanting to end the war. And I think about talking about bombing all these particular places in Iran and eradicating or killing practically the whole population. Number one is he'd have to actually set a hydrogen bomb down there, and that's not going to happen. So I think he's bluffing. I think he's doing all this to make Iran turn around and finally concede to all this stuff. And I think you'll see that this will actually happen tonight. He will not go along with what he's saying. But Iran, if they're smart in one way, I wouldn't take the chance on it. I would concede and surrender to it. That's my opinion.
So, the deadline is 8 p.m. Eastern, so it'd be 9 o'clock where you are. You think 9 o'clock or a few hours after that, there might be some sort of announcement on a breakthrough or a delay or something like that?
Take my word for it. You will definitely see it. And that would be good, because I know that's what's going to happen. Anyway, you have a good day. It's a beautiful day.
Well, you too, Gary. Thank you. Well, good. I don't suppose you could send it west. I think our friends in Calgary would be most grateful. Tough weather in Calgary lately. Pat is in Kitchener. Hi, Pat. How do you see things, Pat?
Yeah, I think that Trump making a bombastic claim or threat on social media is completely on brand. I mean, over the past 10 years, he's been doing this. Over the past, I would say, several months, we've been talking about these same posts around Greenland, around making Canada the 51st state, around tariffs. Anybody alluding to the fact that he is insane hasn't been paying attention. I mean, this is just Trump posts within a war, which is fairly new to us because he's been really against war. I think it certainly diminishes the office of the President of the United States. A lot of his posts do, but I think that there is really little to no evidence that he is insane or is going to be carrying out any of these threats, as he hadn't on the Greenland situation, as he hadn't on the 51st state situation. With respect to what is happening in Iran, I do think that he should risk plunging the world in a global recession and even a depression rather than having the Iranian regime control the flow of oil for the next 100 years and thus have such influence on the global economy. Something has to be done there. Certainly not the civilization post, but something has to be done with respect to the regime.
Right. But you're of the opinion Donald Trump said something outrageous, outlandish, maybe even offensive on social media. What else is new?
Yeah, but isn't that how many times have we not had this conversation?
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if that would be a popular opinion today, Pat. Thank you so much for expressing it. We'll be back. I'm Rob Snow, Talkback. I think we have maybe 2 lines available there if you want to jump in and join the conversation. I mean, there are people who say he's out to lunch, he's gone mad, he's a lunatic, he's a crazy person, and they want the 25th Amendment invoked, or whatever they do with the 25th Amendment in the United States. I'm not an expert in the 25th Amendment, but they think he should be removed from office because he's unfit for the office. He's cognitively impaired in some way. What do you think? This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Talking about Trump, Iran, tonight's deadline, his postings on social media with Rick in Dartmouth. Hello, Rick. Thanks for waiting, Rick. Go ahead.
How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, very good, Rick. Thank you. What's your opinion?
Well, I think that, first of all, I get tired of the liberal hypocrisy going on about him being mad, there's something wrong with him, and the same people allowed a man with dementia to run the White House for more than 3 years. It's it's just disgusting to even hear it. And secondly, Trump is the man that I want in the White House right now to deal with this threat from Iran. For 47 years, they've reaped terror upon the world, and now it's being put back upon them, and he's trying to force a regime change. And if he has to hit infrastructure such as power plants and bridges and whatever to bring about that change, so be it. It needs to get done. Nobody's saying anything that Bill Clinton did in the Balkans when he was in power. It was a war crime. They're only saying it because they don't like Trump. And I get tired of it because these people, if Iran had a bomb and could reach here, a nuclear bomb, you can be assured it would be on its way. And these people that go on about him crazy doing that, they obviously don't know what the repercussions are if these people had gained nuclear weaponry.
But what about this? A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. What does that mean? What do you think that means?
I think he's just ratcheting it up so that they truly understand what he means, because he's a man of his word, in that area. And the previous caller that was on that said he worked with, was an engineer and worked with these people, and that's the way you have to talk to them. I honestly agree with him. That's the way you have to talk to these people. You have to make them understand that the repercussions here are dire, and you either come to the table with honest and goodness, or you're going to pay the price.
Okay, Rick, thank you. Keith in Nova Scotia as well, in Nova Scotia today. Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, you're welcome, Keith. What's your opinion here?
Well, for what it's worth, I think this whole thing with Trump saying he's going to destroy all these people, and that's just nothing but talk and bluster and blow. He's not going to use any people talking about nuclear weapons. That's not going to happen. You can't win with nukes. Nobody wins with nukes. Besides, something like that would be, he would be the most hated man on the planet, and the United States would be the most hated country on the planet in a lot of people.
Okay, so then why do you think he posted something like that? A whole civilization will die tonight. Why do you think he posted that?
That's just Trump. That's what he does. He doesn't have any filter. He just says whatever he wants to say, and it's not going to happen, right? I don't know. Maybe they'll blow up a bridge. But I mean, he's not going to annihilate a whole nation. That's just him being Trump, in my opinion.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, there are people who are saying they need to use the 25th Amendment on him. He's clearly lost his mind. What do you think about that, Keith?
Well, one would think by his actions that maybe that might not be a bad idea, but that happening a lot of people would have to agree on that, and I don't think that the Republican Party, whatever you want to call them, I don't think they would do that.
They're not going to turn on their president at a time of war, right? And use the 25th Amendment, right? Yeah.
No, I don't think they would do that because I think
a
lot of them just don't have the guts to do it. To start with.
Fair enough. Thank you. Busy first hour. A full hour of your phone calls just ahead. These very provocative social media posts from Donald Trump with an 8 o'clock Eastern time deadline looming, according to him, for Iran to reach some kind of agreement with the United States on the Strait of Hormuz. 1-833-668-2577. The latest breaking news is coming up next on News Radio.
It's time to talk back
on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
and have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback. We're talking about geopolitics again, Trump, Iran, deadlines, postings on social media. It's Donald Trump on social media around 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning said, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. A couple of days ago, he said, open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. I mean, when you see or hear these postings on social media from the President of the United States, what do you think he means? Some are questioning his mental fitness. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. Mike is in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Rob. Really good show, very enlightening as always. I know people are waiting on a few key points. Looking back in January, as you remember, he made some statements saying when the regime was in power, there was major protests going on in Iran. Many died, but his feeling was that, look, wait, we're on our way. We're going to be here and we're going to assist you. But after weeks, after days, weeks passed, nothing materialized. Nothing actually happened. And my concern, my feelings go out to the people of Iran. How many people are concerned thinking about such a statement, thinking about their own family members, if they're going to do this massive attack through major parts of the country, they're probably concerned for their loved ones. Will they even be willing to survive? Not but the regime, but the actual other people, the ordinary citizen of Iran. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I would agree. I mean, I'd be quite alarmed if I had family living in Iran right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without having any sympathy whatsoever for the regime that's been running that since 1979.
That is correct. And
because a lot of people would have had sympathy for the Iranian people because they've had to live under that regime since 1979.
Absolutely. That is correct. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, people do say Trump being Trump, but respectfully, when asked, even with concern that would this be of concern, paraphrasing, the nature of any potential judgment on war crimes, if you carry out such action, he said, well, I don't think so, or to me, it doesn't matter. For most people, it would if they had, a true sense of conscience in a major war. That, the humanitarian crimes, war crimes themselves could be indeed carried out. Again, he has to take an account for that, and he is the leader of the free world. So it's alarming. It's alarming. Before we quickly go, Rob, as I understand it, the 25th Amendment during the first administration, which ended in 2020, was considered, but it wasn't acted upon at that time. Whether that would be considered now, I don't know. But I mean, cooler heads shall hopefully prevail. Thank you, Rob, for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Like to call Mike in Dartmouth to Cambridge for the first time today. Rob is there. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I really hope, like, to the question, has he lost his mind? It's becoming that more and more every week, every posting. What makes me really fearful is what he means by that posting. And if you've seen earlier this week or last week, how 3 top generals, I believe it was, were relieved of their duty. Like when you're in the midst of a military action or war, who would do that?
Well, I know the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Hegseth, had asked the head of the Army, the U.S. Army, to retire immediately.
Yeah, so when you have that kind of thing, I fear that he wouldn't hesitate at all of dropping a nuclear bomb. And I hope I'm so wrong.
Gosh, I hope not.
I really hope I'm wrong. But he's wanting this to be done early, and the U.S. has done it before under a different scenario. But when you listen to Trump's scenario, if the United States wouldn't have been born and been around, the whole world wouldn't be around, or we'd be speaking German or Japanese. Or there's always something. So I fear of his circle. I really do. I fear of this circle, and boy, I hope I'm so wrong, but I'm fearful of that because it's like I've heard other people on media
Okay.
mentioned.
Yes.
He's like
So
a
some
barroom.
people have said on the show already, Rob, this is Trump being Trump. It's his way of it's his way of negotiating. He's speaking a language that they'll understand. He's being tough with them because this is the way they speak. Death to America, death to Israel, and all of that stuff for the last 47 years from this regime, and that there's a method to the madness. You don't seem to believe that there's more madness than method.
I would hope so, but he doesn't like rejection, and he doesn't like counter, and he doesn't like to lose. And so far, after how many millions or trillions of dollars and how many thousands of bombs, hasn't spent hours, how much has he won? And he's losing popularity because he hasn't done anything as he promised. But one thing, he broke a promise he'd never take them into a war. And this war, he said, would be wrapped up in a few weeks. And so far, it's not looking like that. So he's a desperate guy in a corner. And he put himself there, and he's going to blame others. But I sure hope I'm wrong. But I have a terrible gut feeling how this man operates, and he doesn't care about anybody at all except himself.
All right, Rob. Thank you for calling from Cambridge today. Be right back. More of your calls, and for the first time, we have more than 4 lines available. So if you want to join the conversation, we welcome your call. 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Trump posted on social media today, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. I mean, how do you read that? Khalid in Calgary. Khalid?
Hi, Rob. Good afternoon.
Hi, Khalid. Yeah, good to hear from you, Khalid. What do you think about that?
I hear you describing or wondering whether it is cognitive declining. I believe that is like very decent conservative description. It's totally wrong, and what I see is like this is the language of the jungle, and humanity to be way better than this. Iran is evil, like the regime, is evil, but this way, this is worse, And what I want to see, I want to see like strong leaders in the world, to stand against this, like Spain, like even they don't allow them to go because what was happening is wrong. I don't know how this will go, whether he's bluffing or serious, but this is totally wrong. That shouldn't be allowed. The United Nations should tell him, like, if you do this, the whole world will gonna stand against it, and put limit to this madness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Khalid, for sharing your opinion. Staying in Calgary, Jude is in Calgary. Hello, Jude.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, Jude. Thank you. What's your opinion?
So I think Trump, I know everyone's been saying this, but I think he's definitely senile. But I think there is more thought than madness here. So with the tweets he's sending out, I think it's kind of a desperate call, and that he's also embarrassed because most of the headlines that I've been seeing out of this war have just been an embarrassment to the states. They lost a fighter pilot they had to search for. Friendly fire incidents. They've lost over $2 billion in aircraft. Iran won't make a deal with them. So I really think these tweets are a desperate cry out to his very loyal, voters and also the Republicans in Congress.
Okay. What do you think is going to happen tonight? Like, there's this deadline tonight, not 8 o'clock Eastern time. That'd be 6 o'clock where you are. It'd be 9 o'clock in Halifax. What do you expect anything to come of this? Do you think there's be some kind of breakthrough? It'll be delayed. There's this term, taco. Trump always chickens out. What do you think?
I think Trump will do something, but not as severe as what he's saying. I think he will, he might target a couple bridges, but I don't think he'll do anything major. I don't think it's like him to declare something before and then back out. That leaves no credence to what he says next. And I don't think Iran is going to come out and try and make a deal with him.
Right. Okay. In fact, we're getting word from some of the news networks now, Jude, thank you for your call, that there had been direct negotiations happening, but now Iran is not involved in direct negotiations. We have time for one more here, and some lines available there, folks. 1-833-668-2577. Longview, Thomas in Longview. Hello, Thomas. All right, let's move along from Thomas then. No Thomas. Let's try Joe. Is also in Calgary today. Hello, Joe.
Hey, thanks for having
Joe.
me. I love your show.
Yeah,
I love your show.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I'm not a first-time caller, so
that's okay.
Glad you took my call. Okay, so here's my spin on it.
All right.
Years ago, a New York Times article mentioned that he was a racist. He didn't like Jews, and then somebody wrote in, well, his daughter did marry a Jewish person. So now what you have is you have two people here. You have two allies. You have the Jewish state and you have Trump. Trump has a lot of options. He's not running scared. I don't know what these people are talking about. Like, you have these guys calling in saying, he's running scared. He's this and this and that. He's panicking. He's not panicking. It's all part of negotiations, right?
Right.
So here it is.
Okay.
Okay. He's not. They're not going to postpone it another 12 hours or 18 hours. The planes are already in the sky. They're coming from everywhere, and the Persians know this, right? They know that it's coming. Now, how bad is it going to come? Is it going to be? Well, that will be up to Trump. And if they do decide to go with the nuclear threat, actually carry it through, it'll be Israel that's going to drop the ball. It's not going to be the U.S. of A. The U.S. of A that does not receive, that does not use the Strait of Hormuz for anything. It's Pakistan, it's the EU, it's India, it's China, and they're not even responding. Like, they're not going to get involved, and yet they're the ones that are going to be the most effective. So what he wants is he wants allies, so-called allies, to come and maybe help him out to open up the Strait of Hormuz to his allies' benefits. Right now, Trump and Alberta are making an absolute freaking fortune. If you get boots on the ground, it's $200 a barrel for barrel of oil. If they start to take,
it might be good for the finance minister in Alberta. It's not gonna be good for the guy on Main Street in Calgary, though.
Hey, you know what? I can fill up with regular gasoline, but when I fill up my Mercedes or my wife's Mercedes, it's a 93 whatever it's called. I'll pay $220. I'll pay $240 because I can see the benefits. As I'm driving down McLeod Trail, I look around and I see all sorts of construction. I see all sorts of people that are working that actually want to work. And hey, you're forgetting about the billions of dollars that they put on these jets to buy them out the first time. What do you think the Iranians did with hundreds of billions of U.S. dollars?
Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, sir. You kind of lost me there. And let's stay focused here. Okay, the big day today with this 8 o'clock deadline looming and Trump saying what he's saying. Try and stay focused on the topic here. 1-833-668-2577 for the first time for Talkback, about an hour and 22 minutes in here. Every single line is available. It's been very busy, but have your say. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, let's get to Faye next on Talkback. Hi, Faye.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Rob. Thanks for taking my call.
You're
welcome. I'll try to be very quick.
Sure.
I was born in Iran. Came here 40 years ago. I am very connected to the country. I have a lot of opinions about what's happening. I hate the regime and what they're doing to the people, to my people. They are my people. But I hate Trump more because he is using this war for his advantage and his own people's advantage. His own people, meaning his family. Trump is creating chaos so he can avoid releasing those Epstein files. He is he's hand in hand with Netanyahu, because Netanyahu, if he's not staying in power, he will be prosecuted because he's got problem and he has got a lot of problem in his country. So he's creating these wars to actually stay in power. Now, on the other side, we've got those crazy Ayatollah in Iran that are ruining the country for the last 47 years. The people of Iran are stuck in too hard rock, okay? Trump will not use chemical weapons because he is worried about Saudis and Omanis and people of EU. So he's not going to use chemical weapons. But U.S. has done this all over the place before. U.S. toppled the Shah of Iran. U.S. toppled the previous prime minister of Iran that was elected by the people. This is what
the U.S. didn't. No, the U.S. didn't topple the Shah of Iran. The Shah of Iran was ousted in a revolution, right, in 1979.
Well, it was a revolution, but it was created by U.S. Rob.
Really?
I was there during the revolution. Okay, I was walking down those streets. Okay, with the people, with millions of the people. But now I know that they kept Khomeini in Iraq for 30 years in their back pocket, sent him to France, and then they flew him to Iran in luxury. They wanted him there. Carter and Margaret Thatcher did that. They put him in power because Shah was getting too powerful for that area. Shah had a big army.
All right. Look, they're going to cut us both off, but I do appreciate your insight, and you know, you've lived it. I hear you. Be right back after the News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We've been talking about Trump's social media postings on this big deadline day for a deal with Iran. This morning, he wrote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. On Easter Sunday, he said, "Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah." What do you think about these postings from the President of the United States? Some people are questioning his mental fitness, if you will. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. Back to it with Alan in Nova Scotia. Thanks for calling, Alan.
Hey, how's it going, Rob? Thank you for having me.
Very good, Alan. Thank you. Yeah, what's your opinion?
Well, my opinion is, honestly, it's as straight as it can be. I think he's a lunatic. He's a pedophile, and he's just doing the war because I think he's blackmailed by Israel. And honestly, Iran is not going to topple as easy as it was for him, like Venezuela. Iran's been preparing for this for 47 years, right? And he's not going to be able to do anything. And he's trying to open the Strait of Hormuz where it was open before, and it's costing American taxpayers $2 billion a day for something that was open, that was free of charge for no reason, right? So he just got himself into a shitter he can't take out, and I think the American empire is unfortunately over, and it's going to affect the Canadians like us, citizens here. So it's very sad news for us, because we're a guy that's not mentally fit for this kind of a duty.
Okay. All right, Alan, I'm going to move along. You've got to be a little less salty with the language there. I appreciate the call, though. Just watch the language, folks, please. Thomas in Longview. Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Rob.
Yeah. Hi, Thomas. What do you think is happening here?
Well, the lady is correct. Donald Trump is looking for a distraction for the midterms for sure. He's in serious trouble. He's so far underwater in the polls that there is no recovery. However, that being said, you can tell the man's a child. He really has a childish behavior. These kind of things, I don't know, in my life, and I'm getting up there in age, I've learned over the period of time you cannot change people's minds by force. That's ridiculous. And it doesn't do anybody any good. However, you have regimes that people don't like, but Donald Trump's a regime. He's hardly considered a democratic society anymore, not in my books. He put that to the wayside. Anything he wants to do, he just goes ahead and does it. He ignores the Supreme Court, ignores the World Court. I don't know. I don't think the man has much mental acuity. So unfortunately, the world suffers. Not just Iran, the whole world is suffering right now. Between him and Putin, man, what a pair. Anyways, that's all I got to say, Rob.
Okay. Thank you for saying it then, Thomas. Good to hear from you. To Windsor, Nova Scotia. Steve is there. Hello, Steve. Thanks for calling. You're on the air. What's your opinion, Steve? Very good.
Well, Donald Trump is as crazy as a loon, but he's been crazy as a loon for decades. I mean, this is just not something new in his life. I mean, I've been following this guy since the 1980s, and he was crazy back in the 1980s as well. But I'm not sure that this is totally about Iran, because since he's come back into power, what he has done is gone through one incident to another event, and every one of them is disrupting the entire world, and he's been doing that for what, over a year now. So I think that there's a bigger idea that he's got in his head right now than just Iran. And if this ends, then he's going to go on to something else. His objective is to create havoc in the world, and the end result may be so that he can retain power where he is in his own country. That might be a part of what he's trying to do here. And if you go back to why he is such a fan of and loves Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping, they have something that he doesn't have, and that is the ability to stay in power for the rest of their lives. And I think he wants that more than anything. The other thing that I find fascinating about this, and I'm not sure if there's been any discussion on this, is he's asking his armed forces right now to basically commit war crimes. And I'm wondering if the admirals and the generals and the people actually doing the firing and the bombing, if they're going to be able to obey his orders, because these are really illegal things and they are war crimes. And all of them may be subject to being charged with war crimes by the World Court. So I'm just wondering whether, just to what extent his forces are going to follow his orders, and we're going to find out pretty soon if he decides to give those orders.
Okay. Thank you for your call from Steve in Windsor, Nova Scotia. We're going to stop here. Just an update on the oil price. The oil prices are very volatile today. I'm talking about West Texas, the crude futures quote. It's been as high as 117.53 today, earlier in the day, but it's backed off of that now, and it's near The lows of the session is down to about $112 right now, $112.85. So with the lower oil price, stocks are trying to make a comeback. The TSX is down only about 80 points right now. The Dow's down 250. The Nasdaq's down 150. And the S&P is down just marginally, less than 0.5 of 1%. Just an update on how this is all playing out on financial markets, with about an hour and 20 minutes to go in the trading day on Bay Street and Wall Street in New York. More of your calls just ahead. Prime Minister Carney made some remarks as well today. He was doing an event in Brampton, but he was asked about this. He was asked about gas prices, affordability issues, gas taxes, all of that. Might play some of that for you, too. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, right back to it. Wayne is in Calgary. Wayne's a first-time caller. Hi, Wayne.
Hi there, and how are you doing today?
Yeah, very good, Wayne. What do you think of these posts from Trump?
Well, I think that the big picture from Trump is I think he wants to be a global dictator, and he's illustrating that by being a monstrous bully. And the bullying in society has been something we've been trying to get rid of for years, and that's basically all he's doing. He says, my stick's bigger than yours, you do what I do, you do what I say or else, and he's threatening every organization in the world and any little country that he wants. And if he gets away with this, he's just going to jump to the next one, whether it be Iceland, Cuba, Canada. He don't care. NATO. And I think that is where he has to stop, because if you look at what happens internally in the States right now, there is grade school kids being killed because of bullying. There's a lot of lawlessness going on because in his bullying, he doesn't care about laws or mortality. And ultimately, I think what will happen is the U.S. is going to implode on itself and become an isolated little state.
Well, it might be isolated. I don't think it'll never be little, I don't think. But,
That's true.
Let's get to this. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Some have suggested it's just tough talk from a guy who is known to be a tough negotiator. Others have suggested it's the sign of a man who's losing his mind. What do you think?
Well, I think he's an ultimate bully, and that's if he can get his own people to follow suit in what he wants to do, I think he'll go ahead and do it. And I think he's very calculated. Calculated. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Wayne. Sam, also a first-time caller. Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sam. What's your opinion?
All right. So I think, first of all, I think he's losing it. That's once and for all. And the second thing, I have a question. Like, he mentioned a couple of times that the oil is not affected, USA. And he keeps even selling to the world and telling them, hey, come and buy from us. We have a plenty of oil. So why the gas prices and oil are super high in the U.S. On the same time? So what's going on here? Like, it's two different stories. Like you say, that we have a lot of oil, and at the same time, the gas prices are massive in the U.S. So
yeah, massive in the U.S., massive here as well, right? Massive here as well.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why are you telling people to come and buy from us, and we have a lot of oil? On the same time, at your local country, the prices are super huge. So what's going on over here? That's my only question.
Well, I mean, I don't know the specific answer to that, but oil is priced in U.S. dollars. It's it's a world price, and that's the price that the people who turn the crude oil into gasoline and jet fuel and diesel fuel, and that's what they have to pay.
Agree. Yes,
right?
Agree. But when you're telling people that I have in my home, I have this goods, and come and have a lot of it, and buy from me, that's mean I have the cheapest price ever, right? In my home.
You would think.
Which is happening now, which is the opposite. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. But you think he's losing it. Okay, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, let's take one more. Chestermere. First time caller. Another one. Awesome. Alan. Hi, Alan.
Hello.
Hi, Alan.
I have just
What's your opinion here?
I just have a couple of opinions. First of all, I don't like the guy and I don't hate the guy, but I think Iran was making nukes and that could have been a huge problem. One more thing, I think he did the right thing. He had no choice. Secondly, there is back in the 80s when the Iranians took all the American hostages.
Yes.
I just saw this on Fox today, and I agree with it. There was a lady, I think they called her Screaming Mary, who said that she would love to kill Americans. She hates Americans. I found out today her son is a professor in American University. Got here on a visa. They knew about this guy, and he's a professor. What's he teaching? Something had to be done, so I think he did the right thing. I don't think he'll ever will use a nuke. He'll never use it. He'll threaten, but he'll never use it ever, because immediately when he does, the Russians will nuke the Ukraine. So it's not going to happen. But he's doing the right thing, and the only thing he could have done.
All right, I'll take solace in that. Thank you. Alan in Chestermere. We will stop here. Danver, you hang on the line. Might be able to fit one more in as well. If you want to offer a last-minute comment here on Talkback today, this is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
A very busy Talkback today. The phone lines have been jam-packed for the better part of the last 2 hours. Let's take another one. Danver in Calgary. Hello, Danver.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. What's your opinion?
One word, irresponsible.
Irresponsible. Okay.
Yeah. It's really sad that we talk about markets, oil prices. We don't talk about the innocent lives that we are losing every day, and the girls that died in the school. Like when he started this, is he sorry about that? I don't think so. I don't like where it is going. So.
Where do you think it's going? When you see posts like the posts he's put out over the last few days on social media, where's it going?
Like if you look into his previous term and even this term, like all he does is create volatility, right? Uncertainty. And that's what he's doing all the time, making money while the market is crashing, making money while the market is going up, because it's insider news and he's got everything, right? So I think people should just stop betting on what he's saying, and ultimately there won't be any good when you see, like there was something yesterday about the billionaires are still making more money since the war of this whatever so-called war started. It's all one-sided anyways, but it won't, like he can start the war, but he can't finish it. It won't be finished as per his prediction anyways. So.
Thank you, Danver. Yeah, for your call. Yeah, very good. Very good. I mean, the posting today from Trump on Truth Social, it just took over the news cycle as soon as it's hit the social media, because of that line about a whole civilization will die tonight. I mean, it's pretty much the top story on all the world's websites: BBC, New York Times, CNN, Reuters, CBC, Canadian press, NBC, ABC, CBS News, they all had the same relative version of the headline. Trump says whole civilization will die tonight as deadline looms. Bloomberg, I did notice, had a bit of a different angle as its top story, saying Iran had ended direct talks with the United States because of that threat on social media. And the New York Times was also reporting that angle to the story as well. And the markets are down, although not by as much as they were. The oil price is up, but not as much as it once was. When the New York Times and Bloomberg reported that Iran had ended these direct talks with the U.S. negotiators, the price of oil moved to its high of the day, almost to $117 U.S. A barrel. As I said, as low as 111 today. I noticed the Brent price, the North Sea benchmark, was up today as well, but not as much as WTI. But I really can't figure out why that's the case. Traditionally, the Brent price is higher than the WTI price, but it was an unnerving and unsettling series of posts from the U.S. president in recent days. We'll see what the rest of the day brings. It's coming up to 1 o'clock in Calgary right now, 3 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Atlantic time out in Halifax, as the clock ticks toward an 8 p.m. Eastern time deadline, according to Trump, for Iran to come to some sort of a deal. Join us tomorrow. We'll see where things stand then. The latest breaking news coming up next. This is News Radio.